Hello, welcome to Thursday night's Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN, premium cyber security for the price of a cup of coffee per month. I'm delighted as ever to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, how's it going?
Not bad. I've got my free cup of coffee at a Waitrose with me, so
There you go.
so that's good.
We're also joined, Keith, by the one and only, our resident referee, the one and only Des Roache. Des, it's always a pleasure having you on.
Good to be on, and I get my free cup of coffee, but I bought mine out of Tesco and it's come through the cupboard. We're doing all shop Waitrose, Keith.
That's it.
Well, you've got to be some perks, Des. There's got to be some perks along the line. A free coffee is I just think it's a welcome perk. Right, anyway, I don't know why we're wasting time, Des. We've got so much to talk about. Obviously, you're on top of the show, and we know why. And it could be like this. You better keep yourself available for us. It could be like this every game now between now and the end of the season. Massive game of massive importance and significance at Pittodrie last night, and some big calls. Des, talk us through your reading of them, please.
Okay, so are we going with the obvious one first?
Well, let's start with the Nigerian winner. Yeah.
So, like everyone, I think when I first seen it on TV, at the time, I'm thinking he's offside when we first seen it to the naked eye. Then you see it again, you then cast a bit of doubt onto it. And the final bit that it came to, do you know the bit that got it to me to say that I think this is a correct decision? And I think it's because we're seeing, as Daniel's put on now, see this broken blue line? I think what they're doing there is they're anticipating that's where the foot would have landed should it have been or that's where the foot would have been had it been on the ground. And that therefore plays Nigerian onside by a very, very narrow distance. But I've not seen that.
Is that
I've not seen that.
We're making up new. Look, I actually, and I said last night, I don't want anybody to get involved in tinfoil hat arguments here. If the line is the line, then I think we've got to just assume that it's factual.
Yes,
but when you're throwing in that they're making an assumption that that's where his foot would go, it makes me wonder.
So listen, it makes me wonder as well, because I don't like using this phrase, but we've seen before where they have guessed where the line should have been. I'll go back to the Livingston Aberdeen game previously last season. But like you, I do not want to see any conspiracy theories, particularly not this season, because how entertaining it's been. I don't think that there's anything that is untoward within our VAR, and I don't think there's anything that's untoward within the colours of power of the refereeing fraternity.
Listen, Des, let's stop you there, right? Because I'm with you in terms of untoward, if we mean biased or corrupt. I'm not buying any of that.
No.
I have got issues about competence.
Yes.
And the one thing that I was happy to stick to last night was, if the line is there, then we just take it as a factual. There's no room for argument. There's no room for subjectivity. It's a line. The technology works. Therefore, you can just rest assured. Even though your eyes might play tricks on you, even though a couple of replays, you think that Nigerian's offside, if the line is there, then the line is there for a reason. The technology makes it factual, and there's no grey areas there. It's black and white.
Yeah,
if you're suggesting to me that there is an area here where there's an element of guesswork and it's not factual and it can't be taken to the bank as a black and white decision, that makes me really worried, given how badly some of the decision making has been when it has been subjective, even with the benefit of replays.
Yeah, and we've spoken about this before. We've spoken about it and we've agreed that technology works. It's the people who are operating it and how they've been instructed to operate it. It's just the first time, and I seen Darryl put a tweet out earlier saying if you should know by now that if...
By the way, that's Darryl Broadfoot, who's head honcho at the SFA in terms of public relations, and he responded to Peter Levine, the Aberdeen boss, saying, can't understand why there's only one line. I thought there should be two lines. Darryl had said quite clearly he thought everybody should have known by now. A little bit pompous of Darryl, but everybody should know by now if there's only one line, it's because the two overlap. And if that's the case, then the forward player gets the advantage. Happy to accept that as an explanation as well.
I just think that the way it's looked, because we've not seen this before. This is the first time that we've seen that image given. I can't remember seeing a broken line being put in before, but I understand it. I accept it because, as you said, if we don't accept where the lines are drawn, then we will given up. So no, I can accept it. Naked eye, very, very different. On factual evidence, and I'm taking this as factual evidence, and I trust it as factual evidence because that's all we can do. It's calibrated to tell us it's the best technology that we have available. So yes, it's a correct decision, and Nygren has scored a legitimate goal.
Not wishing to nail you to the wall here, Des, but you did use a word earlier on, guesswork.
Well, that was my first view of it, yeah, because they're guessing they're drawing the line. That's correct. How can you tell that that's perfectly correct if you're drawing a line from the outside of a boot? So I've got to trust it. But in my first look and going, how can you tell? Maybe that's just the cynicism in me, and I'm the cynic like everybody else. Let's be honest. Everybody has a bit of doubt. Who can be 100% sure? That was my first ego. How do you know that's exactly what it was? But I'm being the better man. I've got to trust them, and that's.
But you've thrown a curveball here at me, Des, because I just like to believe that, as I said earlier, the subjectivity creates a problem because that means it comes down to human error and decision making. I was comforted by thinking in terms of the lines for offside that it's just factual. There is no grey area. There's no room for argument with the lines. But now, for the first time, I'm sitting here wondering if I've got this wrong.
And I'm wondering if I've got it right or wrong. We're all wondering if I've got it right or wrong. I wasn't in Clydesdale House. I wasn't the one who was drawing that there. So you can only draw your own conclusions. But what I can say is the conclusion they've come up with, I have to accept. I've got to accept it, and I've got to understand that it's true. On that viewing, and if those broken lines come down to say that when the cross comes in, Nygren is in an onside position, absolutely, I can accept it. But, as I said, you think, wow, so close. But that, again, is the technology that we're using. It's not the same as the technology we've got in England where it's 3D and we can get a better, wholesome view of it. We're still using an inferior system to what other countries use, which may prove or disprove that this is right or wrong.
And just on that, Des, I mean, a lot of comments coming in. If you want to get involved in the conversation, please do so. Marzuno is one of a few people pointing out there's no angle where the ball and Forrest's foot can be clearly seen. It'd be impossible to change the on-field decision. I mean, that kind of makes sense to me. If you can't actually see that's offside, then how can you change it?
Well, you should be able to, because if you can't forensically say that was a differing opinion, then you've got to. But we have seen instances in the past where we have went against it, and I'll revert to the Livingston Aberdeen game last year where they couldn't tell, so they did overrule the on-field decision.
Nice. I mean, that makes sense to me, Keith.
None of it makes sense to me, to be perfectly honest with you, and it hasn't done for some considerable amount of time. Look, I'm just a little out of my comfort zone here because I was the one last night that was saying, look, if the computer's telling you it's offside, it's offside. Whether you think it's right or not, whether, I was making the point that VAR, I think cameras use a different angle from the ones that you saw on screen in your own living room last night. The angle I felt on Sky was made it look like it was offside. But I was perfectly happy to go along with, well, that's fine because they've done the calibrations, the cameras are in place. There's no grey area, as I said. It's a black and white. And now I don't know anymore. So, look, do you know what? It was close as anything. And the chances are, when you put James Forrest into a game and you throw Nygren on from the bench, that one or both are going to do something that turns a draw into 3 points. And Celtic, that's where they are. That's where the whole conversation should be at. But unfortunately, we're getting dragged into this, and unfortunately, what I thought was a straight factual thing now seems to be an element of doubt about that, which will stoke some conspiracy theories, I'm sure.
And let's look at, I know it will stoke some conspiracy theories, and I'm like you. I've got to put my faith in the technology there and the people that are working it. So yes, I can accept it.
I can't put my faith in the people that work in it, Des, for the simple reason that they've made so many mistakes, so many blatant errors all season that they can't be trusted. I wanted to trust the computers. I wanted to trust the technology. And now I'm not sure that I can do that either.
Well, so that's exactly what I was about to come to. As I said, I want to put my faith in the technology and my faith in the people that are operating it. But you and I have had a long discussion and long things. I don't have faith in people who operate it because I don't have faith in the people who are telling them how to operate it. Because they can only work on the way they've been told to operate it.
Aye. Well, look, away from the Negrin winner, a lot of people writing in this. Let me find it. This one from Jim says Kieran Tierney is now out due to that horrific tackle on him by the Aberdeen player last night. VAR decided not to even look at it. Same with the non-penalty decision in the Don's pen box. We'll come to the penalty one in a minute. Kenneth says Olasanya should have been sent off for that stamp on Tierney. There was no need for his right leg going over that far. Shocking, violent conduct. Now, I know he was given a yellow card at the time, Olasanya, but should that have been a red?
I'm not taking a cop out. I never watched the game live. I only watched wee bits and pieces that I was sent today on that decision, which looks there in a freeze frame could look horrendous. You can make anything look horrendous. I can't make a comment on it because I genuinely never seen it, guys. I was otherwise engaged on it. I've been watching bits and pieces that I could today, and obviously the main ones that were flagged up to me.
I'll give you the context there, Des, right, and why it's not a red card. Olasanya's in control of the ball. He's moving towards Celtic's 18-yard box. As you can see, his head is to the left. He knows that Kieran Tierney is close. What he's trying to do is put his foot on the other side of the ball to protect the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that there's a defender there, but he doesn't know exactly where Kieran Tierney's foot is. He's not gone to stamp. It's not violent conduct. It's actually really unfortunate for Kieran Tierney that Olasanya's foot comes down on his foot. And unfortunate for Olasanya because Aberdeen were in a very good attacking position. But
does that make a difference at the intent? You know, if he still landed on Tierney and hurt him, injured him, does it matter if he meant it?
It's not reckless. It's not violent conduct. I don't think it ticks any boxes. I thought a yellow card was probably the right decision because, well, I don't know why the because is there because Kieran Tierney took a real sole one, but there was absolutely no intent to do it. There's no way that he knows where Kieran Tierney's foot is.
I agreed.
It's an unfortunate coming together. It's a yellow card at the very maximum for me. And it actually broke up a promising Aberdeen attack.
Well, if that's what's coming, if that's the way Keith looked, and as I say, I'm not using the Wenger defence. I didn't see it because I genuinely didn't see it. You are going to have. I mean, they're two very athletic players, very moving at pace. If Olasanya is trying to defend the ball and put his foot to the side, if it's known
trying to put his body in between himself and Kieran Tierney.
Yeah,
it was just an unfortunate coming together. It's a contact sport. I don't think that one's what I would look to get your opinion on. Have you seen the potential penalty for Celtic? The handball with Jack Milne?
Yes.
What talk me through it because I don't know if I understand anything anymore. To me, that's a penalty kick. So, given everything that we've seen this season, given all the big decisions, the thing about the hand being out from the body, I don't see how that's not a penalty kick.
Again, I'm going to disagree with you. When I seen it, I thought that Milne is looking at the ball. He's looking at the phase of play. I don't think that's an arm outstretched. I don't think it's out.
I'll give you it's not an unnatural position, but it's not tight to his body.
Makes his profile bigger, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think look at the way he's moving. He's obviously running towards his own goal. He's turned side on. He's trying to face the ball. Proximity is pretty close. The ball's coming across. I don't think he's tried to make himself bigger. I don't think that's unnatural. I'm okay with that not being given a penalty. But again, we're all allowed our own opinions on it. I think that I'm okay with that. I didn't think that was an unexpected area for his arm to be in at that moment in time.
Do you know why? Do you know why I'm going to come down on a different side? I'm a great believer in player reactions. The instant reaction of the player, I think, is always a dead giveaway. I didn't need to see that in slow motion from a variety of angles, because at full speed, you see the big boy, his hands out, and it makes connection, and then after the connection, he throws his hand behind his back as if nothing to see here. And that to me, he looked guilty. He looked as if he was like, I'm going to get done here. He knew, or I think he suspected VAR was going to call that out and award a penalty. I am absolutely sure that was what Milne was going through his head, because as soon as the ball hits him, he whipped his arm in as if he was trying to keep it behind his back.
But is that not a sad indictment of where we are? Because any player now thinks if the ball touches their arm, they're then guilty of an offence. It's like you're almost guilty before you're charged. So a player is so worried that if the ball hits them at any point, then that's it, it's done. Not every foul is punishable by a free kick, not every contact is punishable by a free kick. Not every foul is punishable by a penalty. I think that was natural, and I think that was a natural reaction for a player. As you said, the ball's hit him, and the first thing he's thought is I could be done here, when he's not meant it. And I think that's a poor reflection on where we are in the state of handball. If we take that back a couple of years and we're not as forensically looking at that, nobody's bothered. I think that's a sad indictment where we are, that between the three of us, none of us can conclusively say that's a handball. I've always been...
None of us know what the rules are anymore.
That's
the bottom line. None of us know what the rules are. There is no consistency, and you just have to judge every single one of these on an incident by incident basis. Because there is no symmetry to anything. There is no consistency to anything. And I think that is a huge part of the problem. And I know there's no two incidents the same, but there are incidents that can be similar, but the decision making tends not to be similar.
And that's,
in fact, can often bear no correlation. And that's why I think we were all struggling right now to understand some of the decisions that are getting made.
So handball for me very easily should just be, is it a deliberate action to stop a goal? Is it a deliberate action to stop a promising attack when it's in the penalty area? Balls are... You can be the worst player in the world and make your team 15 penalties a kick by just taking a blitter at the ball at a defender and hoping that it comes off somebody's hand or arm, and none of us know it. And as you quite rightly said, that can happen 2 times and you're going to get 2 entirely different decisions for it.
Well, here's a question for you, right? Just popped up in my head. The Dujon Sterling penalty award given against him. He had far less time to see the ball coming. His arm was also in a natural position. So what is the difference here? Is there a definition that because Maeda's header is going towards goal, that makes that a penalty kick? Because I think he's far less reaction time to get his arm out of the way than last night with Big Jack Milne. So what is there a definition in there? Is it because it's a header and it's going on target and it's stopped by an arm?
So my interpretation of the difference there would be the ball's been swung across goal to go for a promising attack, whatever. It's happened to make contact. He's pulled it away. I'm okay with it. I think the difference with Maeda at the weekend was it was on target. Butland was behind the goalkeeper. Was it definitely going in? Was Butland definitely going to get it? Can't say yes, can't say no. But Sterling's arm was out across him, not trying to sort of beat the side. It was actually, that's an extended arm. And that's why...
But Des, this is the bit, right? This is the bit that drives kind of football guys crazy. There is no human possible way that Dujon Sterling can get from where he is to where he had to be with his arms down like that. It just can't happen. I mean, that's just... So in order for him to run to get there, automatically, and I know I don't want to get into biomechanics and all this, but his arm has to come out.
Aye. But it's
I think it's a hard. I think if the penalty had been given last night for Aberdeen, I still wonder if the Dujon Sterling one wouldn't have been a harsher decision. That's why I'm asking: is there a differential if it's a direct effort that is going on target, and whether or not anybody means it, it hits an arm. Therefore, that's just a penalty kick, and that's just the black and white.
Listen, nobody knows. Wait, what are we saying, right? I'll get ChatGPT up and see if they can let us know.
You might as well.
Maybe we should just put AI in charge of it.
Exactly. I know. Well, look, we better get our times. I can't believe we've been on for 20 minutes already. But there's a couple more days we want to get your take on. The Aberdeen penalty, right? And I realise I think I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered for this. I think that was incredibly harsh. For the reason that you just said there, Des, not every touch is a foul. I know Scales was silly. It was a bit clumsy. Okay, he's made contact, but making contact doesn't automatically mean it's a foul. There's no way the contact he made Olasanya collapse. I don't know. I just felt like it was kind of harsh. But you're always going to get given against you, I guess.
I might not be allowed back on here again. I'm going to disagree again. I think it was a penalty kick. He's kicked Olasanya in the back of the leg. He's got no chance of getting the ball. Listen, Olasanya has been down softly, but it's contact from a player from behind, kicking his leg, not making contact with the ball, not really got a lot of chance to make the ball. It's a foul. See if it happened in the middle of the park, in the centre circle. You'd be given a foul, ball's down, we're playing on and moving. It's a foul. It's a foul in the penalty area. It's a penalty kick.
Graham says in the comments, Dan, get a grip. I'm very happy to accept that. I'm going to be in the minority there. Aye. Okay.
It's not. I mean, he doesn't mean it again. There's no intent there. Yeah. I think Liam Scales goes thinking. I think he's just looking at the ball and he's putting his foot there towards it. Olasanya's getting in front of him. He's put the leg there. The contact is made. It's a foul from behind. It's a penalty kick. Even though, and I think again, when I talk about the player's reaction, Liam Scales he's committed to it. And even as his legs in motion, you can see that he's trying desperately to put the brakes on and get out of it. But he still makes contact. It's still a penalty kick. Big
Rab in the comments, he's a big Celtic man, says penalty, soft one, but a penalty. And Rebel, who's a big Celtic fan, says, Des, you're off the Christmas card list.
You better know the rest.
We'll put it out after the show. That actually brings me, Rebel's got a kind of a question. A few people have asked this. It's a bit out of left field, but it relates to the game on Sunday. It says, ask Des if Butland's allowed to stand with both feet a foot behind the goal line for a penalty, then rush forward as it's struck. It seems weird to me. A few fans were asking that. That's what he did for Hatati's penalty the weekend. He starts behind the goal line, and as Hatati runs up, he springs forward.
So the laws of the game state it has to be on or behind the goal line.
So on or behind the goal line?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw people try to make a deal of this, saying the rules say you have to have 1 foot in the line. No, the rules say that you have to have at least 1 foot on the line. If you want to make your starting position behind the line, that's entirely up to you. What you're doing, if you're giving the penalty taker a bigger angle, you're giving the penalty taker a bigger target by going back. But if you can, then you're more than entitled as a goalkeeper to come forward, as long as at the very least when the ball is struck. If I'm right, if I'm not right, if I'm not wrong, Des, you've got at least 1 foot on the line.
Do you know what? To be honest, I actually, and also my profession in PE teaching as well as I actually think that's a better stance for a goalkeeper to take, having 1 foot on the line.
I think it's really clever goalkeeping, yeah.
Because it gives you momentum to come forward rather than you come off the line from a standing start. If you come off the line, then it's either going to be a retake if you save it, there you go, or the goal goes. If you start behind and have 1 foot on the line and then propel yourself there, I think that's...
You're shutting down the angle.
I think that's clever.
I think it's good goalkeeping.
That's good coaching.
Right. Yeah. Scotland the Brave says, I can't wait for a Scottish football game to end with no pens or VAR decisions. Don't say that, because then we can't have Des back on.
Oh, don't you worry. Who sent that in?
Scotland the Brave.
Scotland the Brave. Do not worry. You can rest assured. Probably at some point on Sunday afternoon, we'll have a whole new raft of talking points. I've just got that feeling.
I'm sure we will. Was there anything else you wanted to pick Des's brain about, Keith?
No, I think that'll do for tonight.
That'll do it for now. Des, back into the dungeon.
The Wi-Fi's going off till Monday.
Des,
Wise choice.
Des is actually on duty for Record Sport on Sunday for the game, so maybe we'll be seeing you again soon, Des.
I've got a feeling we might be.
I'd rather suspect we will, Des.
Des, it's an absolute pleasure having you on as always. Thanks so much.
No worries, gentlemen. See you later.
Cheers, Des.
Cheers, mate.
It's great having Des on, isn't it? I like Des.
Do you know the thing is, and I think there are probably quite a lot of fans out there that are sick to death of every VAR decision getting picked over. But it's where we are. We've been left with no choice.
Aye.
I'd rather be talking about football. That's what I said to you. That Celtic make that substitution. The moment that James Forrest appears on the football pitch, you think he will create a chance. The moment that Nygren appears on the football pitch, you think there's every chance he'll net one. So these were just good substitutions. It is annoying that we're left, and I felt at least by getting Des on that we might achieve a bit of clarity, but I'm more confused now.
Yeah, I know what you
Because
mean.
I wanted to believe that the lines are the lines, and there's no point arguing about it because it's factual. And now I'm not sure that I can say that, which is bad.
Scotland the Braves been back in touch saying Keith Jackson predicted this. It would get poisonous as the title race gets closer to trophy lifting time. It says it was clearly onside, clear pain for Celtic last week. Why this is even a discussion is beyond me. I think he was referring to the Nygren onside goal. But the reason why I put that up is because we're in the territory now that every decision could decide the title. That's how close it is.
And at the other end of the table, decisions are getting made that we saw that with the St Mirren red card for Richard King, didn't we?
Aye. That was a shocker.
That absolute scandalous decision. And there's teams down there that are fighting for their life, fighting for the Premier League survival, probably fighting for jobs in and around the football club.
Aye, you're right.
Which you can make a strong argument. It's even more important who wins a shiny trophy at the end of it all. It's not, because the shiny trophy is what it's all about, obviously. But yeah, I knew we were entering into the twilight zone, and we'll probably spend the next few weeks stuck in there. And there is going to be one controversy after the next. And unfortunately, with the evidence of the season so far suggests that it's really difficult to have trust in the people that are making the decisions.
Yeah.
Not because of conspiracies, not because of bias. It's competence. Competence is an issue, and I really hoped that the drawing of lines and the offside decisions were just factual, and we could remove competence from that argument. And now it looks as if we've got another can of worms open. So I don't know, Dan. You pays your money, you takes your choice. Were Celtic worth that one? They probably were.
Aye.
And I don't think anybody can really deny that, even though I thought it was a substandard, unconvincing Celtic performance. I think they were still good enough to get the 3 points.
Yeah. I mean, Green Machine says if they clarify the laws, as Des has done here, that's all I'm looking for. I think that's a good point in the sense that I agreed with you. I thought that handball from Milne was a penalty, but Des has come on and clarified it a little bit. I just think we've no idea what the rules are now. And Singing the Blues.
Des is admitting he doesn't know.
I know.
I just think you go with your eyes. My eyes said to me last night that Nygren looked offside and that Celtic should have got a penalty kick. And I'm going to need a bit of convincing.
Singing the Blues quite rightly says decisions all through the season decide the title. I'll take that on.
Yeah. They absolutely do. And by the way, they're magnified as much as the start of the season as they are at the end. Oh well, that's not quite true. They're magnified at the start of the season, but it's times 10 when it gets to this bit, where every point matters so much.
Would you want to see Keith McKenna in the comments says announcements from VAR like they do in England would help? Would you be on board with that? The microphone?
Yeah, 100%. At least for me, the biggest problem that we've got is not only is there a competence issue, and not only is it hard to follow the sort of coaching that they're getting from Willie Collum and and why one decision doesn't look anything like the next decision. So there's a problem with consistency. But see, for the main problem, we're selling stadiums out left, right, and centre. The match day experience for the fans, they're the guys that are really left in the dark. At least the guys sitting at home watching it on TV, at least VAR is getting fed into the commentary box, and they can at least keep people semi-informed of what's happening. The paying punters, the guys that are actually putting up, digging into their pockets to turn over their hard end, they're the ones that are sitting there and they genuinely don't have a clue. And there's no attempt to communicate. And even, was it Ibrox, wasn't it? Or was it Celtic? Where was the one recently? It was Celtic, where Liam Scales claims for a penalty kick. And the only communication to the fans is VAR check, no penalty, outside box. It was in the 6-yard box. Maybe they left out it was outside the 6-yard box. But let's start treating our fans like adults here inside the stadiums. They deserve better than what they're getting. So yeah, if a referee can be mic'd up and have the facility to communicate his decision, or at least try and explain part of it, at least keep people in the loop as to what's going on. That's surely the least that we can do for the people that are putting their hard-earned cash through the turnstiles every weekend.
Yeah, definitely. One guy that was neither of us were at the game last night, obviously, Keith, but one guy that was at the game was Record Sports' Ryan McDonald. We tried to get him on last night after full time, but he was too busy with his post-match duties. He did, but he made up for it today. I caught up with him a little bit earlier on to get his take on last night's events, and let's hear what he had to say.
Ryan, you were at Pittodrie last night. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't spectacular. But Celtic again found a way to get over the line.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't spectacular, but it was 3 points. So that's the most important thing, especially at this stage of the season. 9 games to go now in the league, 9 cup finals to go as well. So that result, coupled with the draw at Ibrox, has kept Celtic firmly in contention for this title. It was a really hard-fought, gritty win, but they managed to get over the line. And I must say, I thought Aberdeen were excellent last night at times. I thought they really contained Celtic, defended well, and they're quite dangerous on the counter-attack as well. So perhaps they caught Celtic by surprise, because I think a lot of people perhaps, and I wasn't one of them, as you'll know, Dan, but a lot of people perhaps had this one as a banker for Celtic, given Aberdeen's dreadful form. But it was a lot closer than maybe a lot of people thought. And Celtic just about managed to get over the line. It was a nervy ending. Lyle Cameron had a penalty shout thrown out after Rio Tati's late lunge. Perhaps if he wasn't so honest and he tumbled to the deck, Aberdeen might have had a penalty. I don't think Peter Leaven was too happy after the game. He said that his side needs to be more streetwise. So that could have been a real turning point. It really could have been not only in that game but the title race. So Celtic and Rio Tati will be breathing a massive sigh of relief that Lyle Cameron, of course, on loan from Rangers. He stayed on his feet and Celtic got away on that.
Absolutely, aye. Benjamin Negrin, Ryan. I don't know what to make of him. I really don't. 19 goals now. It's just look, I'm lost for words. 19 goals, but in the midfield, he definitely isn't what Celtic need, if you know what I mean. I thought Luke McCowan starting last night gave you a better all-round performance. But again, Negrin gets the goal.
Yeah, McCowan, I don't know, I wasn't overly overwhelmed by his performance, to be honest. I thought he added a bit of energy to the midfield, he obviously he's filled in for Arnie Engels at corners, and his outswinging corner led to Kieran Tierney's opener, of course. So I think Luke McCowan is basically serving his purpose at the minute as a squad player, and a useful one at that. So he's filled in. Perhaps I was actually surprised he started ahead of Negrin, but given the fact that Celtic are in the midst of a gruelling fixture schedule at the minute, obviously it's the third away game in the bounce 4 at Ibrox this Sunday. So I think Martin Neil was obviously just trying to freshen it up in the engine room and get some fresh legs in there. But I was surprised that Negrin was on the bench, but it just he's just, I mean, that's 19 goals this season, which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And if he wasn't, if he wasn't there, Celtic would be well out of this title race. And I think I was reading a stat today as well. He's 1 goal short of a clip of equaling Kyogo's 20-goal debut tally back in 21-22.
That's mad.
So that just shows you how crucial he's been for Celtic. Yeah, he perhaps doesn't influence the game as much as Martin O'Neill and probably the Celtic fans would want, but he does the hardest thing in football, and that's scoring goals. And he's got 19, and this is a midfielder we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely improvements to be had with Nygren, and if he's still here next season, then I do think that you will see I think you'll see an improved player in terms of, getting involved in the game a lot more. But he's always seemed, he has this knack of being in the right place at the right time. And he was Aberdeen fans and maybe Rangers and Hearts fans watching on might argue he was an offside area, but he has this knack of being in the right place at the right time, and he's come up with some absolutely crucial goals, and that one last night was definitely the most important of his Celtic career so far.
Yeah. We made a big deal, Ryan, not only on Hotline Live, but on the Record Celtic podcast about those fixtures you mentioned, the away ones, Stuttgart away, Rangers away, Aberdeen away, and Rangers away again. I mean, that's 3 of them now, negotiated. I mean, 2 wins and a draw. That's a pretty impressive return. And, I mean, are you confident for Sunday as well?
I mean, a lot of the Celtic fans, if you were to read some of their comments on Twitter, maybe, I don't know, last week, the Doomsday Merchants had Celtic down for 4 losses in a row. And to be honest, it could have. You wouldn't surprise if it would have turned out that way. They're all difficult games. Stuttgart away. I don't think anyone predicted Celtic winning in Stuttgart, the first victory in German soil. Obviously, 2 goals down at Ibrox. Aberdeen's always a tricky place to go, and then of course you've got the Scottish Cup powder keg at Ibrox again this weekend. But I think Martin O'Neill will be pretty damn pleased with the results so far. He's obviously got another crucial game this weekend, but I think that's pretty good going. He's avoided defeat at Ibrox, which was a must. He's got that crucial win at Pittodrie, which, as I said, keeps him firmly in this title race, and all eyes kind of turn to Sunday now. I think Celtic are starting to gather a wee bit of momentum at the minute, and playing so many games, I think you've got to ask the players, they would rather be playing than training.
Aye.
So, they might carry a bit of steam going into this game at Ibrox. You wonder how Rangers will respond after that kind of gut-wrenching draw last weekend. And with Celtic fans obviously occupying the full Broomloan as well, I was speaking to Kenny Dalglish today, and he was of the same mind. I think that's a game changer, from 2,500 fans at Ibrox last week to literally a green and white wall behind that goal at the Broomloan. I think that could play a massive part in inspiring Celtic. I must admit, I tipped Celtic for a win last weekend. I clearly got that one wrong, although you could argue that they perhaps deserve to win it based on their second half performance. But I fancy Celtic to win this weekend at Ibrox. I just think they just get this Martin O'Neill factor. He's got an incredible derby record. I think maybe Danny Rose rubbed them up their own way as well with some of his comments last week. So yeah, I think Celtic are going into this in a good frame of mind. Clearly, their performance levels, especially at Pittodrie, haven't really been that convincing. But I think they, as I say, they're gathering momentum, and I think they're going into this pretty confident.
Assuming that Dane Murray is injured, would you keep Benjamin Arthur in at centre back? I thought he did pretty well last night.
Yeah, well, I was discussing it in the press box last night. To be honest, the first half I thought it was a little bit shaky. He had some erratic touches, some cross balls he kind of struggled to deal with. Perhaps, that's probably understandable considering it's his full debut for Celtic, and he's kind of been thrown in the deep end with less than half an hour's notice. So, given the fact that it was only his 5th senior game in football as well, So when you take all that into consideration, you can definitely let him off the hook. Second half, I thought he was much more composed. I thought he was dominant in the air, made some crucial blocks, some excellent headers as well to clear away some dangerous set pieces from Aberdeen and cross balls. And he clearly possesses a lot of confidence, and he's got an impressive stature about him as well. So I thought he did really well. Obviously, it's a completely different scenario going into an environment like Ibrox on Sunday. But Austin Trusty's obviously back for this game, so I would probably think that he will get the nod ahead of Dane Murray if he's fit, and Benjamin Arthur. Dane Murray, incidentally, Martin O'Neill confirmed last night, has a thigh issue, so you're probably looking at. Yeah, I doubt that he'll be available for that one anyway.
And just before I let you go, Ryan, the big question I think on a lot of Celtic fans' mind is, who do you start going forward? I mean, Tunecki started last night, and I like Tunecki. I think there's a lot of potential there, and he can come up with moments of magic. But I feel like he's much better as an impact player.
Yeah.
And when you think about the central striker as well, I mean, Chavin Chara, I thought Nielsen dominated him last night. I've no idea who you start in that central striking role now.
I don't think Martin O'Neill does either, because he's been chopping and changing. So that's an issue. Daisen Maeda, I think that's now 10 games now without a goal, which is his longest goal drought since joining the club back in January 2022. So that is a concern for Celtic. He had a chance, which you've got the picture up just now. He had a chance last night where he pounced on, I think it was Jack Milne's slip, went one-on-one with the keeper, and he just dragged it well wide. It was a bizarre effort, that.
It was really bizarre how badly he got that wrong.
I mean, it was miles wide. It was to be quite frank, it was a shocking effort. And I think that probably just sums up Daisen Maeda's season at the minute, and perhaps where he is mentally. He just looks like a shadow of the player that scooped all the Player of the Year awards last season and scored about 33 goals. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just a lesson for Celtic. If a player wants out, you need to sell him at the right time. So it's that's definitely a problem area for Celtic up front, because you just don't know where the goals are going to come from. The only guy you can really lean on is Benjamin Negrin. And he's a midfielder. So I think Chavin Chara, I think he didn't even register a shot last night. He's made it clear he's not a target man, but for some reason Celtic are persisting with lumping high balls up to him. Mm-hmm. To his credit, I think he is decent at linking up play with midfield. He showed some decent touches, but I just don't think he's a big enough of a goal threat. I don't think he gets in. We're talking about Negrin getting into the right areas. I don't know. I feel as if he's sometimes wandering. He's drifting out wide when he should be inside the penalty box, waiting in deliveries. With the size of him, you'd think he'd be a bit of more of a presence in the penalty box as well. I think that's only 1 goal in 9 now. So he's clearly not going to be the man that's going to score, a barrel load of goals or crucial goals between now and the end of the season to get Celtic over the line. Then you've got Junior Adamu as well, who really hasn't cut it. He was obviously subbed at half-time at Ibrox, albeit, he didn't really have much to feed off. There wasn't much service. Celtic were just, again, lumping the ball up there, and he was chasing shadows. So I kind of felt sorry for Adamu at Ibrox, to be fair. But again, he's not really set the hell alight. And then they've got the conundrum with Kelechi and Acho. I don't know what's going on with him. Martin O'Neill's clearly unsatisfied with his fitness at the minute. And obviously he's got a history of injuries. So 1 minute he's in the squad, the next he's out. And the thing is, if Iheanacho's fit, he's probably our best striker. But problem is Celtic just can't get him fit. So it is a real issue. And as I say, I don't think Daisen Maeda is, he's a workhorse up front. I'll give him that. He'll run. But at the end of the day, you need quality up there. And say 10 games without a goal now, that is a concern. So who Martin O'Neill starts, I'm not too sure. Because it's a real flip of a coin. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Chavin Chara. It starts on Sunday. And Tunecki, I think you make a really valid point there. That's something I've said for a while as well. I think Tunecki coming off the bench, he's a game changer. He changed the game at Kilmarnock, he changed the game at Ibrox. The jury's still out on whether he can influence the game from the first whistle. I thought he did okay last night. I thought he was, especially in the first half, I thought he was a threat going forward. He had a penalty claim kind of shot down by Nick Walsh and VAR. It kind of collided off an Aberdeen defender's arm. So I thought he was decent going forward in the first half, but he kind of faded out of the game in the second. But he did last I think he lasted the full 90, didn't he? So
yep.
It's a conundrum for Celtic. I think they're massively short of creativity. Although I think Rio Hatate did add a wee bit of magic and class when he came in last night. I think that his performance is encouraging for Celtic. I think he looks comfortable playing alongside Callum McGregor, and he has shown flashes of kind of rediscovering that form that probably made him one of the best, if not the best, midfielders in Scotland. So I think he's definitely a shoe-in to start now at Ibrox. He's definitely played his way into the plans. And one thing I will say is, it was interesting that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't even get off the bench last night.
Aye.
So again, it looked like I think he was blown away by the intensity of the game last weekend, and he clearly had a culture shock coming up against Rangers and the Ibrox Cauldron. So I don't expect that he'll start at Ibrox. I think if anything, he'll maybe come off the bench. But I think your midfield three has got to be Hatate, McGregor, and definitely Negron. It's just it's a toss of the coin for who plays up front.
And just before I let you go, Ryan, what's your score?
Yeah, these games are just so unpredictable. I think I'm going to say Celtic win 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers score first, but I feel as if I think Celtic will. They've got the mentality and the belief. It's in their DNA just at the minute, especially under Martin O'Neill, to stage these brilliant comebacks. So I think Rangers will score first. They'll get Ibrox rocking, and then I think it could be a similar story. The second half, Celtic come alive and get the win. But the thing is there's so much riding on this game as well, because the loser is that their season over, because Hearts are clearly 5 points clear at the minute. They're favourites for the title. Celtic and Rangers, their last hopes of silverware, could rest in the Scottish Cup. So
Aye.
I know there's so much attention around the title race, but a lot of people are saying they don't really mind what happens this weekend. But I think for both sides it's massive, because for Celtic and Rangers to end the season trophyless, that's a total utter disaster. It's crisis.
Aye.
So I think this is still a massive game, and both teams will be desperate to win.
Time will tell, I guess. But for now, Ryan, thanks so much for joining us on the Hotline Live.
Ryan McDonald there, Keith. And obviously we mentioned primarily Celtic, but there is...
Hold on.
Go on.
What were you wearing for that pre-recorded interview? What was your garment?
Sorry,
I'm just saying...
You're breaking up, Keith. Sorry.
It looked to me like some black with gold piping, possibly Adidas.
Yep.
Just interested.
With you so far. It was actually the Manchester United away top.
Was it?
The black and yellow one. I'm a big Man United fan.
Well, I find every week with each passing show a reason to like you even less, Dan.
Nothing gets by you, Keith, does it? Doesn't it miss a trick?
Also, why are we making such a fuss? Isn't this? I mean, everybody seems to be getting their knickers in a twist about this game at the weekend. It's effectively a friendly, isn't it? It's got no bearing on the big one, the league. So it's effectively just a kind of one of those friendly kind of derbies.
Aye,
Sure, a family old firm game. This.
Just
my God!
On that point, though, Ryan saying, whoever loses this game, is that their season over?
No, because it then all kind of it rolls over into the league. Whatever happens, I think Rangers would have a bit of a problem in terms of, I think, whatever momentum was getting built, a defeat at home in front of their own fans with a big Celtic travelling support, I think that could be a real gut punch for Rangers.
Yeah.
And they would then go into the final 9 games of the league campaign having to build momentum from a standing start. And they're a point further off Hearts at the top of the table. So that could be problematic, but it doesn't mean it's over. It's all too tight, and there's too many twists and turns. There will be twists and turns. That I just don't. I think what's highly unlikely is that one of these top teams, goes in a run now and wins every league game between now and the end of
Nah,
the season.
no chance.
Which means by virtue of that, there's going to be chances, opportunities for teams, regardless over the course. It could go all the way down to the last set of fixtures. That's how tight it is. But I think a defeat for Rangers on the back of a draw that felt like a defeat for Rangers. If Celtic were to come to Ibrox twice, get a draw when they looked as if they were going to get a bit of a going over in that first half, get a draw and a point in the league, and then knock Rangers out of the Scottish Cup on their home patch, I think all the momentum in terms of the two from Glasgow would be in Celtic side of the city after it.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, for Celtic, if they go out the Scottish Cup, that's going to be a sucker punch as well. That's going to take a bit of getting over. But they got the 3 points at Pittodrie that really, jumped them into second place in the table. Hearts are in the crosshairs. I don't think, as much as I'm having a laugh and a joke saying, "Oh, this is just a free shot for both of these sides at the weekend," we know it's not. It could have. I don't think. I think it's also impossible to isolate this cup tie. Say, well, it's only the cup, because I think whatever happens, there'll be a bit of collateral that goes into the remainder of the league campaign. So
Definitely, aye.
it's mental. And by the way, I saw SPFL put out a statement. I think 1.1 million viewers during the Old Firm game at the weekend at its peak. Look, all eyes are on us.
Aye.
All eyes are on Scottish football right now, because it's the place to go for drama.
I watched the Arsenal-Chelsea the other day, Keith, and look, I know I'm biased, but it was so sanitised. It was so boring.
Listen, we are the antidote to the English Premier League right now. I think this England, and yes, I accept maybe because Liverpool are toiling so badly. I find it just a dreadfully dull watch this season, and no wonder so many people from down south now, they're wanting to talk about our game. They want to talk about our league. They want to talk about this miraculous Motherwell, the possible heroics at Hearts, the Old Firm knocking 7 shades out each other. All eyes are on us, and I think it's because I think they find the stuff that's going on in their own backyard a bit too dull.
Aye, no, I agree.
We might not have the most quality in the world. We're the least thing that anybody could ever accuse us of is being dull.
Aye, we're not short in drama, that's for sure. Very last thing, there is the quarter-final lineup for the Scottish Cup. I need your predictions, Keith. Falkirk, Dundee United, Dunfermline, Aberdeen, Rangers, Celtic, St Mirren, Partick, Thistle.
Falkirk, Dunfermline.
Do you think Dunfermline will put Aberdeen out?
Yeah, I do. I can see that Neil Lennon will be rubbing his hands at the thought of it. Absolutely, I can see Dunfermline winning that one. Partick Thistle and St Mirren could go either way. St Mirren are struggling. Partick Thistle have been getting a lot of good results. It wouldn't surprise me if you get another championship victory over a Premiership side there. Rangers and Celtic. Look, I'm laughing there because Ryan saying it's impossible to predict it, but then went into great detail that Rangers would probably take the lead, that Celtic would have a strong second half, and Celtic would win it 2-1. I think it is just about impossible. I'm going to go because I think there's going to be fireworks. I'm not saying the last one was a damp squib, because it was anything but. It was really entertaining, incredible twists and turns, but it was sanitised by the standards that we've become accustomed to with the Old Firm. I think all hell could break loose in all manner of ways. I think it's mayhem, fireworks, the whole kit and caboodle we're going to get, and I'm going to go for 3-3 after extra time.
Wow!
And you know what I've been saying these last few days, the Logan Roy test. You have to be a killer. I think Celtic's instincts might just get them over the line. So I think we're going all the way to penalty kicks.
Wow.
And then really, who knows what happens. And especially, by the way, I'm saying about Celtic's killer instincts, you've also got a goalkeeper in Jack Butland who just doesn't concede penalty kicks anymore. He seems to keep every penalty kick out.
I think his record this season is he's saved 6 out of 9, I think.
It's astonishing.
Ridiculous.
Astonishing.
Aye.
So yeah, who knows? But put the kettle on for mayhem. That's the one prediction that I can say and feel safe in making it.
Aye. Well, look, whatever happens, we'll be here on the Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. On Sunday, we'll be back at our usual time of 6 p.m. To pour over
6 p.m. on Sunday, Dan. Yeah,
6 p.m. on Sunday gives just in case there's any extra time penalties, as you predict, Keith. And by the way, I think you're probably right.
We're going to need that extra time.
We're going to need the extra time. But for tonight, Keith, it's always a pleasure.
I'm looking forward to Sunday, Dan.
Me too. I can't wait. I should say thanks as well to our resident ref, Des Roache.
Will you be wearing your Man United away?
You're sorry, Keith, you're breaking up again. And to Record Sports Ryan McDonald. We'll be back on Sunday. Thanks for watching. Hope you can join us then. Cheers.